gentlemen, welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
The 2023 NFL schedule finally out, and the Jets and Aaron Rodgers getting plenty of love from the league. Count them 5 primetime games plus the first ever Black Friday game. We're going to get into all of it here on the Can't Wait podcast. I'm Tim McMaster, along with Zack Rosenblatt, our Jets reporter at The Athletic. The reason we are starting late is because I had to push the buttons because Marissa.
I noticed the intro said a different person than me.
Marissa will be here. She says she's en route from flying back to New Jersey. Newark was a mess. Anyone who has ever flown into Newark has heard this story. So
not a fan of that
but
airport.
Anyway, you're shocked to know that it was not smooth sailing getting from Newark, getting down to Newark and then getting out. So she's going to join us along the way, but we got plenty to get to, so we didn't want to wait any longer. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching the stream on YouTube, we love that. Get in the comment section. Tell us what you think about this Jets schedule, where they have to do well, where they can, just need to survive, all those sorts of things. Get the conversation going, and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and give us 5 stars. All right. I mentioned the primetime games. None bigger, Zach. We're going to start. What we'll do is we'll go through the schedule. Quick thought on kind of each game as we go. Then we'll talk about some bigger themes, I think. But nothing gets bigger than the opener. And we kind of knew something big was coming, right? When Aaron Rodgers comes over, it's the Jets, but it's Bills at Jets, Monday Night Football, Week 1, September 11th in New York. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger as far as the electricity, the emotions that are going to be going on in that stadium. I wish I could be there with you.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a feeling they were going to get a primetime game to start the season. But you hear it, I don't know, like the Jets are Monday Night Football in Week 1. Like that's a big deal. Right. That just tells you what the NFL thinks about them. I mean, not only that, but their entire schedule tells you what the NFL thinks about them because they're featured pretty heavily. I was telling you, and we're going to get into each week and all that, but they have 6 1 p.m. games. If I counted right, I think they have 6 1 p.m. games this year, and they had 14 1 p.m. games last year. So that just kind of tells you. And they're going to be featured a lot. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them. I've been asking a lot of players, coaches, and stuff the last couple of weeks, like, you're going to have a target on your back. Do you think this team can handle that and all that? Somebody pointed out they were Monday Night Football Week 1 in 2018. I wasn't covering them then, so I forgot about that, I guess. But it feels like a bigger deal this time that it's the case. And yeah, it's exciting. I mean, that game is going to be a lot of fun, or it should be at least. Having it at MetLife is huge, and instead of having it in Buffalo. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, these two defenses, the two teams that should be duking it out for the AFC East with the Dolphins throughout this season. And, it's especially whenever it's a divisional game in Week 1 that has a little more value that you kind of forget about as the season goes along. But if the division is as close as I think it's going to be, like, this game is going to matter down the line. So if the Jets can come out and win, which, there might be some excuse making as people are making their predictions of Aaron Rodgers to get used to his new team and blah, blah, blah. They can't really afford to wait. Like, they need to go out and win. And I think we're going to learn a lot about them that day. Like, I'm not going to be ready to say if they lose, okay, they're not as good as we thought they were going to be. But I think if they win, then we might have to really take them seriously as like a team that could win 12, 13 games. So it's a weirdly swing game in Week 1.
Yeah, the schedule makers didn't do them any favors as far as giving this team time to gel as a unit with Aaron Rodgers, because it is, man, tough right out of the gate. It was last year too, but I think this is actually even tougher than a year ago. All right, let's go through the rest of the schedule. Kind of quick thoughts on each of these games. Then we'll talk big picture. Week 2 at Dallas. It's Dallas. It's, an East game, right? I mean, that's a fun way to come out of that first game. And then you come back the next week and you're hitting the road, going down and play against the Cowboys team that who knows what to expect.
I will say that we're going to find out if this Jets defense is as good as it was last year pretty quickly, because to have those two teams back to back, arguably two of the 3 or 4 best or most talented offenses in the league, I think, if you just look at or even production wise. If you look last year, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna go to Dallas. Dallas, I think in the past has had a lot of like weird struggles at the beginning of the season where they have like a weird loss early on. This wouldn't be a weird loss, but Aaron Rodgers has had a lot of success against the Cowboys historically, which is like with the Jets in this podcast. And when you cover the Jets, I think there's always been a tendency if you look at numbers, okay, this is how the Jets have done against X team. This is how they've done this time of the year. With Aaron Rodgers is like a different subset stat that you have to consider now for these things, because Aaron Rodgers I think he's been pretty good on Monday Night Football. I think he has a winning streak, I believe, on Monday Night Football. That's been going on for a little bit, and he's been really good against the Cowboys. Some of his signature games have come against them, and especially if they're coming off a win in Buffalo, they'll be feeling themselves. Go to Dallas, tough environment. Beginning of the season, Dallas crowd will be pretty lit. That stadium is fun. I covered a lot of games in Dallas from covering the NFC East for 4 years. But that's another one. I think that'll be a fun game, but not an easy one. Like that's as you were saying, like this beginning stretch of the schedule is hard, and the wins are going to be hard to come by, and we're going to find out what everybody's made of here.
Yeah, and then week 3 is a game that with Aaron Rodgers, you would imagine it's almost like a game this team has to win. But as far as mental hurdles go, and I think what Aaron Rodgers needs to bring to this team is the ability to beat the New England Patriots. I mean, last year I almost went into last year assuming they would at least beat the Patriots once, right? Like they got to get them once, and it just the cycle just continues.
I mean, those were the 2 games that ended Zach Wilson. So
yeah, right. Like it was the downfall of the season was the Patriots and how poorly they played against the Patriots. So here you go. You get Buffalo, which is a game that's going to be tough to win. At Dallas, you would hope they would win that one, but that's on the road, and then suddenly you're facing your demons, so to speak, against the Patriots in week 3.
Yeah, if Rodgers wasn't aware of the whole Jets-Patriots thing, which I don't see why he would be, he's going to find out about it pretty quickly as he starts getting asked about it that week, as his teammates bring it up. It's going to be a thing until it's not a thing anymore. Like they need to beat them, and they're in this is the best position they've been in to beat the Patriots since Tom Brady was the quarterback. Like if you think about it, because the Jets have never had more talent than the Patriots probably in this whole stretch, or at the very least, you never went into that game thinking the Jets were the better team. And I think you're going to go into it thinking that this year, because the Patriots, I think people are kind of sleeping on them to a degree, probably because their quarterback situation is pretty wonky compared to everybody else, but they still have very talented defense. They improved their weapons. They're not going to be a walkover. They're never a walkover. The Patriots are just not a team that usually gets blown out. So, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. It's a game that they should win, but will they? History says the Jets don't beat the Patriots, but will Aaron Rodgers end that? Like if anybody was going to, it would be Aaron Rodgers. So, that's going to be a fascinating one. I think that'll be the game. Whatever happens the first 2 games, whether they go 1-1, 0-2, 2-0, if he beats the Patriots, Jets fans will be all in at that point. Like it's going to be, especially if they went 1-1 or 2-0 to start, and then he beats the Patriots. Like he's going to run this city. And it's crazy to say, but that's kind of how it works around here. If he could be the one to beat the Patriots, everybody will love him.
Throwing some numbers up here, and this one that you appreciate. I win the hat battle tonight, according to Dan Botter.
Yeah,
that never happens.
Yeah, but he's biased though.
So what? Sorry. All right. So you go through that 3. I'm not going to say that's a gauntlet, right? Because when you look at Dallas and New England, this Jets team should win those games. So you feel like 2-1 is probably capable. But then, the only thing that's coming up next is a Sunday night game against the defending Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs, on October 1st. So you got that. And let me group a few here. So you have that. Then you go to Denver, which Denver was bad last year, but this is a Denver team led by Sean Payton with Russell Wilson. And Denver's always hard to play. And then, the other team that went to the Super Bowl last year, back at home, the Eagles. I mean, man.
Yeah, to have the 2 Super Bowl teams in the span of 3 weeks. And yeah, I wrote a schedule thing for the website, just like going through like the toughest stretch, best game, hardest game, best offense, best defense. Most of the answers were in like that first 6-week stretch. I think you're again, how that 6-game stretch goes is going to kind of dictate what their ceiling is. Because if they come out of that 3-3, you're in good shape. You can compete for the AFC East. If you're, one above that, if you're 4-2, I think you feel really good about yourself, because that means you beat a really good team in there. plus the Broncos and the Patriots or whatever the combination is, whoever won. We never actually know. We come into the season assuming certain teams are going to be good and some are going to be bad, and then weird stuff happens, obviously. But
yeah, last year we figured playing the Packers was going to be
even the Broncos, I feel like a lot of people thought were going to be really good. But so I think that stretch we're going to really find out what this team is made of, I would say. And then if you get through that stretch in good shape, the rest of the schedule really doesn't scare me particularly much. Like there's not like a stretch after that I'm like, okay, because like I'm just looking at it right now. There's maybe the Bills Dolphins back to back because 2 divisional games, but other than that, there's not like any back to back games where I'm like, or even 3 games in a row where I'm like, oh no. Like it looked like like you mentioned last year, it felt like the flip. It felt like the flip side last year where I think I remember us talking about how the second half of the schedule seemed a lot harder. Than
the very beginning was hard. Then it got easy, but then it finished.
But
finished
the way
this
things
one just
happen.
opens up at the end.
So that's why I think they can, even if they started hypothetically with a losing record, they can get out of it because of the way the schedule is and all that. You don't want to start slowly and then you have to recover from it at the end. But I think if they start hot, I think this team again, like if they start 4-2, 5-1, whatever, like I think we're gonna have to talk about this team as like winning the AFC title. Like, but if not, like they can still bounce back from it, win the AFC East, get one of the wild cards, whatever it is. But by the way, isn't it kind of it's weird like talking about the Jets like in this way? Like we're just like it's almost like assuming that okay, so the ceiling is they're 5-1. Like I don't think we ever talked about the Jets like that to start a season. So
and somebody made a point that like everyone's talking about like what's the tough stretch of the Jets schedule, and maybe the Jets are the tough part of everyone else's schedule this year, right?
People
like
have to be looking at it like that now.
Yeah, that's a different attitude. Well, we will see, right? Like you have
true.
to prove it, and they certainly haven't done that yet. So the reward for that gauntlet though is the bye week.
Yeah,
which I think because of that stretch comes at a perfect time. Like week 7 feels a little early overall, right? You'd rather have it like either the middle or the back half a little bit, but because of what you're coming out of in those first 6 games, it feels like a good spot. Week 7, like regroup or like start reading your press clippings, I guess at that point, depending on how it went. And then they come out of that week 8 at the Giants, which is going to be,
that'll be fun.
Hope that's just going to be a lot of fun. Like, I will say this, I hope the Giants get off to a start like they did last year, just because I would want this game to be a true, like, okay, it's the Battle of New York, New Jersey, and both these teams are legit playoff, caliber teams.
Although the Giants have a really hard schedule to start the season. It's like they have like a West Coast road trip at like the beginning of the season. And I was pretty down on the Giants. If everybody remembers going into last season, I thought their roster was awful. I still don't think their roster is particularly good, but they're well coached. They have more talent than they did last year. They're not going to roll over for the Jets. They're going to be motivated because everybody's going to be talking about the Jets and not really about them. But yeah, that'll be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. There'll be a lot of storylines. Yeah, but coming out of the bye, some rest. Let's say they get beat by the Eagles pretty good. Going to the bye, licking your wounds, wanting to get back out there. Come out of the bye, you got to beat the Giants. Like I don't think they can lose that game. It doesn't necessarily matter for the AFC East standings, but I don't think I'd feel good about the Jets' chances this season if they lose to the Giants personally. I just don't think the Giants – I think they're going to take a step back this season.
All right, and with that, hey. Here.
Hello. I didn't even have time to grab my microphone. I'm so sorry I'm late.
No,
I will catch up on everything. I apologize to all the listeners.
It's all right. We blamed you for us being on late, and then really we blame Newark Airport. So
yeah, I feel like I feel like all people can relate to that. So, I'm a nightmare. But we're here. The schedule is out. Lots of primetime stuff. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Zach.
Yeah,
Tim.
we are through the bye week and through the Giants week 8. So you're hitting us right here.
Perfect.
Which is really, here we go with prime time, right? Back to back. They get the Chargers at home Monday night, and then they go to Vegas for Sunday night against the Raiders, Zach. And then you follow that up with the trip to Buffalo. It's just a fun part of the season because you feel like Chargers, Vegas, those are winnable games in prime time. Like, it's just going to be exciting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the Chargers, you never know what you're going to get with the Chargers week to week. Like talent-wise, they're always one of the most talented, but having that at home is clutch. The Vegas one, I'm excited for a free work trip to Vegas is one of the best.
I feel like you're going to need
perks.
to write a story based on like the flight over and the number of Jets fans
that's a good point.
heading out.
In general, there's probably going to be more like traveling Jets fans this year, honestly. So I'm going to be curious to see that.
That will be
Vegas.
a crazy trip.
That's a good trip, obviously, for fans to go on.
Yeah.
I should say, my job in Arizona, I used to cover Arizona basketball, and they would have the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas every year. So I'd have a free work trip to Vegas, but you don't want to be in Vegas more than like 2 or 3 days. And I covered Arizona, who was always like number 1 seed. And so it would start on like Wednesday. So I'd have to get there Wednesday, and then I'd have to stay until they lost, and they would have to make it to the championship game. So I'd be in Vegas like Wednesday to Sunday. It was rough. It was rough. But it feels like you're playing with free money when you're in Vegas, and it's a work trip is what I would say.
Just we
Can't
won't let the
gamble
company
the
hear
per
that.
diem, Zach.
Yeah.
If you are heading anywhere there, though, make sure it's BetMGM.
Yes.
Stick to MGM.
Obviously. The exclusive betting partner of the Athletic.
Just playing the slots, just penny slots.
All right, and then after the trip to Buffalo, which at least they have the 2 Buffalo games out of the way by week 11, and then it's this first ever Black Friday game, which is cool. We thought maybe the Jets would get a Thanksgiving Day game.
Yeah, I was convinced they would.
And this is, I think from a team perspective, this is better because you get the extra day of prep. It's not as bad. Like nobody likes Thursday games, so a Friday game is slightly better. Although when the day before that game is Thanksgiving, I don't know, but it's also it's a home game, so Miami
it's at 3 p.m.
travel on Thanksgiving.
Having it at 3 p.m. is weird. Like a football game at that time is strange, but
right.
As somebody pointed out to me on Twitter, which I thought was funny. I can't remember who it was, so I'm sorry, but the MetLife is right next to the American Dream Mall, and it's on Black Friday, so it is like the idea that it's Black. There might be busy over there at the mall.
Might be traffic. Yeah.
You better leave at like 6 a.m. for that one.
Or and get your shopping out of the way.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe it's cheaper to park at American Dream and walk over. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they don't face the Dolphins until week 12.
Yeah.
That is and who knows, maybe the Mike
White might be their quarterback by then.
Yeah, somebody terrible joke mentioned like Mike White versus Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let's not think about that. So they get that on that, and then they hit a stretch here that I think this final like 6-game stretch, I think we can kind of cruise through here.
Yeah.
Is an opportunity to really just, I think, go on a run.
And, yeah, absolutely.
This could be 6-0. Like when you look at it, it's hard to win football games in the NFL.
Yeah.
But home versus the Falcons, home versus the Texans. Then they go to Miami. That's always a tough game. Although easier in December as far as like not the sweltering heat and all that stuff. Yeah. And then they're home for the Commanders. Then they go to Cleveland
on Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night game for Cleveland. And then at New England week 18, which who knows what's on the line. That could be really a lot. Right? Yeah. Especially if they lose the first time and they still haven't beaten the Patriots and the division's on the line or there's playoff implications. Like who knows? Or that game could be pointless if the Patriots are in fact not very good. And the Jets have had a great run and have things wrapped up. Who knows? But always, it's a fun way to end it. But that final 6-game stretch feels like it's just a run up to the playoffs and a chance for this team to get some momentum.
I mean, you could convince me that all 6 of those teams miss the playoffs in theory. Like there's more wild cards, so odds are like 1 or 2 of them will make it. And somebody in there will be surprised. Like I think a lot of people like the Falcons as like a surprise team this year. They've had a lot of talent on offense. I don't know who their quarterback is the problem. But like you said, nobody's a pushover. I think the Texans will play everybody hard. I don't think they have the ability to like beat a lot of teams. I think the Browns will be better with Watson in his second year. The Dolphins, if Tua's last that long, they have as many weapons as anybody in the league. Like, I don't know that any of those games will be easy. And Jets make everything not easy, as we know. So whether or not it's Rodgers, until that doesn't keep happening, like I'm going to assume that they shoot themselves in the foot in some way at various points this season. But yeah, that like you said, that you have the ability to go into the playoffs with some real momentum there. And like I said, if they start off as hot as they can, like 4-2, 5-1 in that 6-game stretch, like you could be playing, like I said, for the conference title and playing for a bye because of the way that stretch plays out. Again, you don't want to look past teams. This is a team that has to learn how to win. That whole cliche, I think they really do still have to learn how to win these games that matter. But you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and anything is possible. And that's why I said they can start maybe slow if they had to in the beginning. Not if they had to. If they wind up starting slow, you can bounce back because you look at the second half of the schedule, and I think Sal will be able to preach look, we started slow, but that he's not going to say this to us, but the schedule is there for them to take it. So I think the schedule played out pretty favorably for them in a lot of ways. Getting those tests out in the beginning, in a way, maybe that'll be good in the sense that they're going to have these battles, 6 weeks of battles. You come out of the bye, and then it's not going to be as hard again. There's nobody at the end of their schedule that's as good as anybody in their first 6 weeks, except for the Bills, who they play again. Everybody after that, the Eagles and the Chiefs and the Cowboys are maybe 3 of the 5 best teams are going to play this year talent-wise, and they're all in the beginning. So, and then you add the Bills into that, who I believe are also right there. And then you could probably argue the Dolphins the Dolphins would probably be the other talented team, or the Chargers. So you're going to get the battles in the beginning, and then you're better suited to go out the rest of the way and not ease up.
All right, so let's get into big picture stuff here. Obviously, I think the toughest stretch is the beginning, right? Whether you consider it the first 4 games, I guess the first 6 games, that's the tough stretch. 4 of those teams made the playoffs last year, including the 2 Super Bowl teams. And the easiest stretch is at the end, right? I feel like we've covered that. But when you look at this whole schedule, what's the must-watch game in your mind?
It feels weird to say. I think week 1 is the must-watch game, honestly.
I know, I totally agree.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers,
especially
debut,
with all the
unknown
of it, the unknown of what the Jets are going to look like with Aaron Rodgers is a big that. The unknown is always that's why week 1 is always so fun, because like I said, every year we always assume certain teams are going to be good, or everybody assumes the Lions are going to take the next step, but maybe it's someone else that takes the next step and not the Lions opening the season opening game, by the way. Who would have guessed that? A couple of years ago, even the Jets and Lions are the featured games in week 1. But so I say the Bills game. I'm personally excited for the Chiefs game and the Eagles game. I think those are going to be, they could potentially be games that are lopsided, but if the Jets can keep it with them, those should be really, really fun. But yeah, the Bills won in week 1, Jets and Bills last year, those games were a lot of fun. And that was with Mike White and Zach Wilson at quarterback. These are teams with really good defenses, a lot of weapons. And yeah, you're going to find out if the Jets are legit or not, if they can come out and beat the Bills in week 1 at home in front of everybody, that'll go a long way towards building some confidence in that locker room too.
All right. So that's the must watch. What about must win when you look at all these games? What's the game they have to come up with?
Yeah. You were talking about this before the podcast. I ultimately went with their last game, week 18 against the Patriots. If you think they're going to be a team that wins 12 or 13 games, then that's not a must win, but I'm not ready to predict them winning that many just yet. I had them around 10 or 11, and we're going to get into our official prediction. I'll make my official announcement, but anyway, at that range, you're fighting either for a playoff spot or for the division. And I think so. You're going to have the Patriots divisional game in week 18. And I think that might be a game that kind of tips the scales in either direction. And so I think that would be the must win. If you're asking me early, if we're looking early in the season, I think honestly that even that Broncos game, I could argue in week 5, if you lose to the Broncos in week 5, coming out of that hard stretch to start the season, I think you might get a little worried as you head into that bye week. So those would kind of be my 2 answers, I guess.
So I have the Patriots, but the first game, because I think they have to win. They just week 3 at home versus the Patriots. They just have to win it from a psyche perspective. That has to be as a W. That's mine. But I'm not saying it. Week 18 could be absolutely huge. So yeah, I hear what you're saying there. All right. best fan trip for Zach or best road trip for Zach / fan base. Where should people be going? I think we kind of already hinted at it.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say where fans should be going. I think I would highly recommend the Denver trip. They've gone to Denver like a lot in recent years, so I don't know if some fans have gone on that trip already. But Denver's one of the most fun cities in America, in my opinion. You can't go wrong with Miami in December, if we're being honest. Like every year when the Miami trip comes during the winter. But yeah, Vegas is the number one. I mean, if you can swing it, like it's an expensive trip. It's not easy to have a cheap trip to Vegas, both flights and hotel. If you want a cheap hotel, you got to stay off the strip. You can still have a lot of fun staying off the Vegas strip. But I mean, that's just a fun trip to do with some friends, whether it's, a group of guys, a group of girls, families, like whatever you want to do. Like there's something for everybody in Vegas. And it's going to be fun to see how many Jets fans make the trip, because if as many go as I hope, like they're going to be taking over the strip and stuff. You're going to see these drunk Jets fans just yelling JETS Jets. Like I just think of when I was in London covering the Eagles game in 2019, and just like there's just like bars and bars all over London full of Eagles fans just doing these loud chants, like being rowdy. And I hope the Jets bring that energy this season to the road games, because I didn't, especially as the season progressed, not that Jets fans traveled poorly or anything. There were definitely games where they traveled very well, but I never felt it like on the airplane flying over, or like them taking over bars and stuff like that. So I want to see that this year from the Jets fans. I think they can do it.
It is a overall, though, as far as road games go, this is a good season for you. I mean, it's not Europe, but pretty
I was hoping for a Europe trip, but I'll save that for next year.
Yeah, but like you said, Denver, Miami can come early in the season and be miserable, but it's in December when you're going to really need it.
And I get off. I get off for New Year. We got Jets fans and me get to celebrate New Year's Eve, and the Marissa and Michael Dunn household too. We got a Thursday night game leading into New Year's.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all very excited about that on the group chat.
Yeah, I mean, from a player perspective, Michael was Michael likes that, like players like that, because that's the mini bye. It's considered a mini bye.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, because you get the weekend off. So it could be good for the Jets that it's so late if they're in playoff contention.
Good point. And then they get some extra time for the Patriots game. Yeah.
So in that sense, it could be good. But, if your like season's close to over, it also could be bad too, because it's like you wasted that weekend of recovery and, guys like mental break too.
And they only have one more game left after that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's like there's pros to that, the late mini bye, but then there's some cons too. So, but it also falls on New Year's Eve weekend. So that's nice.
Right. Like selfishly, anytime I can avoid like having to cover something on a holiday on the road in particular, I'm happy about. Like I know the Giants beat, when I got the Giants schedule last year, I knew that they had a Thanksgiving game on the road. They had a Christmas game on the road. And they might have even been on the road for New Year's. I can't remember, but so yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to complain. I love my job and I get to go to some cool places and stuff like that. But, being able to spend the holidays with the family is also nice too.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So strength of schedule is interesting this year in the NFL, because it's the Easts are playing each other, right? AFC, NFC.
Yeah.
And this is the top 8 strength of schedule. Eagles 1, Dolphins 2, Patriots 3, Cowboys 4, Giants 5, Jets 6, Bills 7, Commanders 8. So those teams that, it's funny because a couple of years ago you wouldn't think that with the NFC East, but last year all the teams in that division were, good, and the AFC East is looking that way too. So all those records for all those teams, the worst one is the Commanders with a 535 is the winning percentage for the teams they're playing.
Oh, wow.
But it's all between 566 and 535. So tough stretch for the East teams. They'll all be beating up on each other throughout the season. Anything else before we do predictions?
Not that I get. Well, so preseason, I should say that the Jets do have an extra preseason game.
Extra game,
Yeah, they're going to be at Cleveland for the Hall of Fame game. They're at Carolina the week after that. Then they're playing the Bucks. I think they're going to do joint practices with the Bucks in New York, and they have the Giants for the last one. I know they love doing the joint practice last year with the Giants, but as people have pointed out, they are playing them this year. So I don't know if that'll like change the calculus there if they still do that. But I think teams like to do 2 joint practices, so I guess maybe they could do it in Carolina. I haven't heard anything yet. I Actually, I haven't been to Charlotte, so that'll be a new city for me. But yeah, so there's the preseason. If there are any fans going in the preseason, I think Zach Wilson will probably be getting a lot of reps. I think they actually might be one of the more interesting preseason teams ultimately. And if Rodgers plays at all, which would be fun. So longer preseason, earlier training camp, all that good stuff.
All right, let's do predictions. We'll go game by game. Marissa, are you gonna play along? You can take week 17 off, but otherwise, do you want to
sure
do the rest? Okay.
Sure. I mean, you guys are more prepared for this, but
since I just asked you if you wanted to do it,
yeah,
that's right. We're gonna do this again right before the season starts.
Okay.
You know how our minds have changed.
I mean, I will be on maternity leave at that point, so I'll just appease Jets fans and say W for each one.
Right.
So.
There you go. All right, week 1, Buffalo. I have a loss.
I'm gonna say win.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna come out and just
I don't know. It's got a feeling. And there's some weird stuff with the Bills too. I don't know.
All right, Dallas. I have a win.
I'm gonna go loss in Dallas.
Okay.
I'm gonna go win.
You're gonna go 17-0 anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
Versus the Patriots. I call this the game they had to win, so I give them a win here.
Yeah, I'll go win here as well. So 2-1 start for me.
3-0 start for me.
Wow. Marissa's in.
Sunday night against the Chiefs, I have a loss.
Okay, there's.
I was gonna say if you pick them to pick the Chiefs, then you might be really thinking about them as a.
Yeah.
I have a win in Denver.
Yeah, win in Denver.
Yeah, who knows what Denver's gonna look like? I mean, who knows?
They should be better.
I mean, I don't think you could get much worse. How things
they might want to show Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
That's true. That is the Nathaniel Hackett game. That makes that more fun.
It's gonna be nice and awkward that week, I'm sure.
Very awkward.
Yep.
Yeah. Eagles at home, I have a loss.
Yeah, that's a loss.
I might have to take this one off my 2 podcasts.
No, you gotta pick it.
I think it's a loss.
Okay.
Oh, true. It's the Marissa Dunn Bowl. That's true.
Yeah, but good game. But
good game.
Good game. It'll be a good one.
I have them beating the Giants.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Beating the Chargers.
Say lose to the Chargers.
That game's home.
Yes.
No, it's
Monday night.
Yeah, I think that's a win.
I have them winning in Vegas.
Winning in Vegas.
Hopefully, Zach also wins in Vegas. Loss at Buffalo.
Yeah, loss at Buffalo as well.
Buffalo's gonna have to.
Black Friday win.
Yeah, win for me.
Yes. Win.
Atlanta win.
Atlanta
win.
Houston win.
Houston win.
Miami, I have a loss.
I'm gonna have them sweeping Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they'll beat Miami.
I got them beating Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say they beat Washington.
I have them beating Cleveland. Zach, we'll let Marissa skip this one.
Yeah, you know where my heart's at for this one.
Man, I right now I have them on a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I'll say loss at the Browns.
Okay. And Patriots, I have them losing that one.
And I'll have them winning the Patriots at the end. So I think I have them with 10 wins.
So you got 10-7. I have 11-6. Marissa has 1, 2, 3.
Wait, no, I have 11 wins actually. I have them at 11-7. 11-6.
Marissa has 13. Did you say win or loss for New England, Marissa? The second game.
The second game, well, what am I at so far? I might say loss. I think that'll
be your 13th win.
Yeah, so they're in the playoffs by then, so they're gonna rest people and they don't care.
You got them at 12 wins.
So you have 12-4 with
the asterisk.
With an asterisk,
yes.
Because there's not. Yeah, they're only playing 16
and me and Zach
games
both have 11.
Yes.
We're both 11-6, Zach. So
wow, I guess we're optimistic.
Wow.
Can't wait, pod.
what does the chat think? Really quick, though. People throw in your records. Let us know what you think. But I think 11 and 6.
Someone has them with 13 and a Super Bowl win. So they're really
that's more
tempering
optimistic.
expectations.
That's more optimistic than us. But but I think 11 and 6 gives you a chance at the division.
Yeah.
If you
not a lock,
but
gives you a chance at it.
Yeah, you have to split those Buffalo. I have them losing both to Buffalo, so
yeah.
I think they probably don't win the division, but I don't think that matters. I mean,
yeah, I think in my initial prediction thing I did in my story on The Athletic, I had them second in the division with 10 wins, but I didn't really go as much through the schedule as I did this time. So 10 or 11 is kind of where I'm at, and I probably will stick at that unless they make it a big splash this offseason of some sort, which I don't necessarily think they're going to, but if Joe Douglas has something up his sleeve, I might change my mind.
Yeah, and that's how that's why we'll change things. We'll do this again right before the season starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because a lot can change between now and then.
Exactly. Dan Botter, casting a wide net, says 10 to 13 wins. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we all kind of fell, right?
Yeah, but like
anywhere from 9 to 17 wins, I would say.
Sean says 9 to 10 with an upside of 11.
That's fair. That's fair. All right.
Better than 7 and 10. So
it certainly is. And if they start the way they did last year, they'll definitely, you can't help but win down the stretch in the schedule. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks do we have anything else? We're good.
Yeah.
They signed Al Woods officially today. I know some people are getting worried about that, but everybody already knows about that by now. It seems like you're going to have a bunch of rotational guys next to Quinnen, which we'll see how that works out. After losing Sheldon Rankins, but yeah, I think good signing.
All right, and with that, we are going to call it a night. This has been fun. Thanks for joining us and talking about the schedule with us. If you're tuning in later, thanks, and check out the stream if you haven't yet. We love having people in here talking and conversing. The community is growing, so keep it up and give us the 5-star review. If you want to join The Athletic, go to theathletic.com/can't wait. It's $199 a month for a year right now. There's also a special gift. Marissa, do you know off the top of your head?
For Mother's Day, right?
Yeah, it's theathletic.com/ it's something gift. Terrible. That's terrible.
It is not anyway. It's not your mom, is not what it says.
It's for Mother's Day, Father's Day, and graduation, according to our fine marketing people. And it's $19.99 for the year, I believe. And I can't remember the code.
We will promote that throughout the next 2 weeks.
And we'll throw it in the can we throw it in the description? Marissa?
Yes.
We'll throw it in the description. All right. And with that, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to everybody again soon.